Hi, this is Sue from Miller's Laboratory, and welcome back to my lab. It's been a little while, but I've been hard at work here working on some new books that I am about to list on Etsy. I have 3 and they are all pretty much the same. They have a flower theme. I would call them flower extravaganza books. They are just all full of flower images from different sources. And I'm just going to flip through one of these books today. These are made from these Harvard Classics books that are, I think, published in like 1917. So they're pretty old covers. And the pages were really nice. I tried to use the pages quite a bit because they had a nice color and a nice texture to them. These Harvard Classics, this series, I don't know how many books were in the series. I have quite a few of these to use, and it just so happens that the ones that I used for this series were number 1, number 8, and number 19. So that is how I am naming the books, as Flower Themed Journal number 1, number 8, and number 19. And they are tied closed with a piece of satin blanket binding. This is not vintage, it is new, but I coffee dyed it and it definitely smells like coffee. So if you are not a coffee lover, this might not be the book for you. I do want to just show you on a couple of the covers I had to do a little bit of repairing, and I want to make sure that you're aware of that. This particular one is book number 1. And right here in this little crease, some of the book cloth was coming off. So I did glue that back together, and I used a little bit of matching paint to cover that up. But that is a little repair on this particular cover. And then on this one, and that was number 1, on this one, which is number 19, I also had to do a little bit of repair on the cover. And it's hard to see, but it is right down here in this cover that it was tearing a little bit. So I stitched that together really good with my sewing machine, and then again covered that up with paint so that it matches. So I just want you to know that that's there. I think that's only fair. All right, I'm going to set those 2 books aside then, and we'll go through the other one, which is number 8. That one I didn't have to do anything to the cover. So this ties and unties really easily. I like the feel of it. It makes the book feel like a present. It kind of is a present. All right, so let's look at the binding here first. These books have 4 signatures, and I again used a cross stitch pattern to stitch. I just think it adds a lot to the book, and I think it's really beautiful. You should know that when you do this type of stitching, you have to go over the same spots inside more than once, and so in some places you're going to see thicker stitches in the middle of the signatures, and that's just because I did this decorative binding. I decided to add little charms at the bottom. Those are just attached to the stitching. There's just a little handcrafted charm and a little rhinestone charm, and then the tag with the number of the book on it, that's just tied on with another piece of waxed linen, so you can take that off if you want to. All right, let's start flipping through. There's a lot in these. I did keep the original end papers in the books, but you can see that I used some really fine weave cotton to reinforce the spine. And then there's a printout of a vintage label here that you can use as your book plate to put your name and a date or whatever. This is some vellum that I printed. I'm a peony fanatic, and I have visited the Heritage Peony Garden in Ann Arbor, Michigan many times, and I have taken a zillion photographs there. So you'll see a few of my peony photos throughout this book. But I just liked how that looked with the vellum, and then you can see I've used the original title page from the book underneath, and you can see it through there. So this particular book was by Charles Dickens, and it's just got some pretty colored symbol on there, which I liked. And then I also included the table of contents from the book, And then this is just a book page that I stuck in there too. This is some text weight red paper. I've got a little tag tucked in there. This is a tag that I printed, and I just added the tab of lace and the label at the bottom. It's just blank on the back. And then that is tucked into a little tuck that I made from a cluster, a little collage cluster there. The back side of that page is blank. This next page, there's some layered papers here, but I used these Walter Crane illustrations, a floral fantasy in an old English garden, and I made this into a little waterfall. And on the other side, you'll see another one. But I left the backs blank, so you could do some journaling on the other side if you wanted to. And then you can see that underneath here is some vintage dictionary page and just a little bit of a corner on there for decoration. Okay. The back side of this page is some vintage wallpaper that I printed out. It is not the actual wallpaper, but it's a printout. And then I just added a little bit of watercoloring that I found in a book and a vintage violet image there. The next page here is from a sketchbook that I coffee dyed, and I just tucked a little tag there that I made for decoration. The back side of this clip that I used is kind of cool. It's like it's got a little button on the top and a tab, and then it's a little pocket, and inside there I just added a little bit of this music paper so you could put a little note in there and tuck it away. Actually should be putting this back together as I go instead of putting things to the side. All right. This page is some vintage stationery. Again, I coffee dyed it and I added this pretty image on there and a tab. This is some scrapbook paper. And then this was the image on the stationery, and I just put in a little extra punched out daisy shapes there to fill it out. This is some new ledger paper that I stamped a little wreath on. And then on the other side of that, it actually flips out to give you some more space. And then this is the center of the signature, and this is from a calligraphy book, like an instructional calligraphy book with some really beautiful images in it. So I wanted that to be the middle of the signature, and this is one example where you can see that there's quite a few stitches there, and that's from the binding. On the other side of that, this is more of another peony photograph that I overlaid over an old ledger and printed out. So now we're just going to go back through that first signature so we have the new ledger page again. This was that stationery page, and I made some pockets on here with a coffee filter that I stamped on. And so inside these pockets I have tucked just a little card that's pretty with some lilacs on it and butterflies. And this little tag, and I have made some of these tags for myself to use. I made them on my computer and then cut them out, so they do say Miller's Laboratory at the bottom. And then just put a pretty tab on there. On the back side again, you have the mirror pockets. In the back I made this little tuck, kind of a little matchbook closing. This is another piece of stationery or like a notepad that had a flower image on it that I coffee dyed also, and I just glued a flower image on there, and then that opens up so you can close it and tuck it right in there. And then I made a little journaling card here with an old index card on the back, some book page, and then again some stamping that I did on here. This next page is from an old milkman's ledger, and there's still some writing on there. And then this is back from that wallpaper that I printed out, and then here's that other waterfall, that other Walter Crane image waterfall, and I'll try to hold that up a little bit so you can see it and just flip through again. But these are just so pretty, sort of Art Deco-ish, I think, and just really lovely. Okay, the back of the red paper, I put some pockets on here, and these are designed that they can be flipped either way, so you can use them on either side, whichever you like. This is some vintage paper from a notebook. I love the old handwriting. And I just tucked some small things in here. This is some tickets that I created. Again, I created these blanks on my computer and I printed them out in strips, and then I used my sewing machine to perforate so I could tear them apart. And then in the little, it leaves these little frames that I can decorate however I want. And these particular ones I used some washi to decorate. These are like plant tags that you would get with a plant when you purchase it. They're not real ones. These are also printed out, and I just put some grid paper on the back. Those go back in this pocket here. And then in the bottom pocket there's just another strip of the tickets with some different flowers. And these are some little scallop tags also, or just one little scallop tag that I printed out and added a little bit of string to. So I thought that was kind of cool because it's versatile. You can flip it, you could write underneath it, and then it would be kind of secret until you flip the pocket up. Okay. This is some more book page underneath, and this is a strip of Edith Holden page that I've put on the side as a side tuck. And inside here I just made a little booklet for journaling out of old handwriting practice paper, and just added a little pretty floral label on there. And then on the back of that I used some tulips that I cut out from a gardening book. I just added the leaves myself in the back and a little bit of a label. And then this is the last bit of book page here, and it had this pretty image on it of Dickens' study, where I assume he wrote the book, so I thought that was cool to have that in there. And then here is the other side of our peony vellum. This page I did a little bit of collaging on. Again, this is some more floral wallpaper that I printed out, just some collage here. This is a page from an old gardening book called Garden Flowers in Color. Pretty nice smooth feel to this page, and just really lovely images on those. And then here I have a collage. It's a belly band, and underneath it I sort of made kind of a different sort of a journaling card. This is made from one of those parchmenty sandwich bags that you can get at Target, and I used the rest of the bag further on in the book, but I didn't want to waste this, so I just punched out some little daisy shapes and stuck them inside, and then sewed it closed, and then you can just write on that. I thought that was kind of different and cute. And then this belly band has a little surprise too. It actually is a trifold, and you can fold it out, and then you can journal inside here too. So this is on some really pretty light blue Southworth resume paper. This is from another flower book that I have, a Florilegium book. Really old world sort of images on those. And then this next page is some vintage typing paper with some collage and an image from another flower book that I have. This is just a short page. When you flip it over, it's a pocket, and I just created with another image from that same book, like a tall skinny tag. It actually opens up, and there's some stained paper there. Do some journaling there. This is just a page from an old teacher's record book. And then this page is collaged pocket. I used book page for this, all just book page. And there's a little label on there that's pretty. I put a tab on there just so it's easy to find the inside of the pocket. And then this is just a printout of an old ledger that I folded envelope style and tucked in with the flap sticking out. So that's a good spot to do some journaling if you would like. This is again another one of those Walter Crane images, but I printed it out a little bit larger and just stitched it onto another page. And the page is some old wrapping paper that I coffee dyed. It came out really rough, really wrinkly, and I just really liked how it turned out, so I used that as a page. This is like a little mini belly band here, and inside here I have just tucked some receipt paper. This is not old, it's just receipt paper you can get. And then this is a little origami folded style paper that you can journal on too, and that fits right in that little belly band if you get it in there the right way. Oh my goodness, Probably should do one at a time. It would be a lot easier. All right. This is from another ledger that I printed out. I love the really blue color of it. And then we come to the middle of this signature. And this is from another flower book that I purchased by Henry Terry, a Victorian flower album. And this has just got these really heavy, beautiful pages. And I left it so that you could open the whole thing. So, I mean, I just think that's stunning. There's nothing you can do to that to make it any prettier. So I just left it the way that it was. But I just love that. So we'll flip back through the signature. You'll see similar things. Here's that light blue ledger again. This is that wrapping paper page, and on this one I added just a little strip of green paper like a ribbon and made it into a little flip up place to journal. And then there's another Walter Crane image on the back of that. This is a page that I actually ran through my printer and put some peonies on and then glued back onto a book page. And on this side I just added a flower image that I printed out and a little tag. This is a little tuck spot, and I just made a little this little tag from an old like a flashcard type of a card. Did a little collage on there. I put this on with that red line tape, so it's a little bit sticky, and if you kind of push it down a little bit, that card will stay in place really good. This is that teacher's record book again, and then this is the back of the typing paper. And what I did here is kind of different. I made a little paper clip with an origami rose that I did with old dictionary paper, and then that is clipping this, and it looks like a pocket, but it actually I'll flip that up. It actually folds down several times to make writing space. So it's a pocket and a writing space. Okay, and then inside of there I used a gardening, it's sort of like a box of reference cards for gardeners, and I just put tissue paper over the top to mute the colors a little bit, and then inked it up a little bit, added an image that I fussy cut out and some music, and then on the back it's just this green, this is that green painter's masking paper, so it's a nice journaling card, a nice big one. And then this came undone because it's clipped on the back here, but it's just another one of those. You saw one earlier in the book, another journaling card with an index card and some stamping there. Okay, this is from that Florilegium book again. And this is the other half of that Southworth paper. And on here I created another little clip with a little pennant shape, some scrapbook paper, and a little dangly rhinestone like I have on the binding. Over the top here I just used a little bit of glassine that I had to create like a little envelope, and there's just a vintage playing card in here. I didn't decorate that at all. And then a printout of an old photo of a lady with a bunch of flowers. They're gladiolas. So I just tucked that over the page because I thought that looked kind of cool. And then on the other side of this page, I printed this old world, beautiful illuminated image. I just thought that was so pretty. And when I clip this back on, I just added this little key tag. The colors go with it, so I just stuck that on there too. Go. Oop. Like that. Okay. This is from that Garden Flowers in Color book again. That lovely with the pansies. And then a little bit of collaging here with book page and the wallpaper, and a black and white image of a flower glued on there. And then our collage again. And that's the end of the second signature. So we're halfway through the book. All right. This next page is another beautiful historic page that I printed out. I like to go to the New York Public Library digital collection and find the public domain images and use those. And then there's a little clip on here that has some pink ribbon on it. And on the other side here, you can see that that is clipping in this tag. I did some more colorful collage on this and stitched around it. Added a little bit of a little circle tag on the top with a bulb pin. And then the back is just blank. This is old green construction paper that I got from a teacher's stash. And then this is clipped onto some really pretty scrapbook paper with some like oil painting of flowers. This is the gardening book in color again. You can see on this page this whitish strip here, and I actually used like bandage tape on the fold because this was kind of fragile and I didn't want it to tear through. So you can just see that there. Carnation there, isn't that pretty? And then this is another one of those sketchbook pages folded the other way, and I added some old receipts to it and just some collage here. This is a little pocket that I tucked in this little tag that I printed out, some pretty daisies on it. And then on the other side there's also a little bit of collage here and another pocket where I tucked this little kind of like a business card with lavender on it. This is some music book page, and on the other side you can see that this folds out. I added a little flower image here and that also folds down, so just for interest. And then this is some scrapbook paper with flowers again. Then this is an Edith Holden page. I mean, these are just a standout. They're so pretty. I folded it up on this side to make a little pocket. I added another little butterfly image down here and some green paper, and then I just tucked this little pansy card in there. And then this next page is a belly band, another little bit of collage I did on the black paper. I thought that really looked pretty, and I've tucked an envelope over that. These are some envelopes that I've used before with these really pretty flower images on them and these big flaps. I did print this out on the back and add a stamp to make it look a little bit more authentic. And then on the inside of this one, there's just another old, not old, but a receipt paper that's coffee dyed. And I gave you a Gwen Frostic image here, a pretty card with this beautiful decal edge. And I just love these so much. So you get one of those. And then I have a couple of these scallop tags again here that I just tied together. We'll tuck those back into the envelope here and back into their home under the belly band. Okay. All right. And then I just have a blank black page here because I thought it might be fun for you to doodle or journal here with a gel pen. It's kind of fun to use something different there. And then this is just a piece of vellum that I added in, and I didn't do anything on that. I thought about stenciling a little bit on it, but I wound up leaving it blank. This is the middle of the signature for signature 3, and in here I used a stationery envelope with some daisies on it that I found and coffee dyed, and inside of that there's also just the stationery again with the daisies on it. Very pretty. You could tuck some more things in there too, but I just added that. So here's our vellum again, and here's our other black page, and on this one I made a flip. This is made from a window envelope with a little bit of collage on it, and I stuck down in that this little card. This is also made from that sketchbook, and then I just wove a strip of green paper down through it so it looks like ribbon, and there's nothing else to this. It's just for journaling, but I thought that looked really pretty through the window. And then you can see that I put some different floral scrap paper inside the envelope so that it's pretty without the tag in there too. All right. And then on the inside here, this is just collaged. This is that sandwich bag that I talked about earlier, just to make a pocket and just to have that lovely crinkly sound. And then inside here I just tucked, this is a piece from an end paper from a wildflower book that I had. You can use that for journaling. Here's our black paper, just blank again. This next page is that green really cool old green construction paper, and I made some layered pockets here. So you can see this is the other piece of the Edith Holden page, and then in here I've tucked a couple of journaling cards that are made with end papers from this book, and they are put onto paint chips and stitched around, and added a little image on there. You could really journal on both sides of these. This is an old agenda book that I just added in there as a page, and I'm going to put those back. And then this is a vintage seed packet that I cut the top off of and added a really simple tag in here for journaling again, with some stamping at the bottom and a little tab. So back. Okay. On the back of this, I couldn't resist. I'm going to hold this up a little closer so you can see. While I was looking for old images, I found these old photos of little girls like dressed up like flowers. They have like these costumes on with little hats and everything, so they looked like flowers. I thought they were so pretty, so I printed them out, and then I just used these. These are from Nick the Booksmith. These slide covers, and I just put them on there. That's just glued on there. Those aren't tucks or anything, but I just thought that looked really cute. And then here's our scrapbook paper that I folded over, created a window. I used, I recycled some plastic again from an old window envelope, and inside here it looks like a pressed flower, but it's actually flowers that I printed out on vellum and cut out and put in there. And so I just went around that with a gold pen, and I just thought that made a really pretty window, and you can see the next page through it. This is some more of the music page. Folds out. And on the back of this I created another pocket. This is another recycling. This was an envelope that we got in the mail with some insurance cards, and I just liked the way that that was framed, so I put some of my printed vellum behind it and made it into a pocket. And then this is just a little tag that I made with some scrap paper and flower image and just collage, some kind of cool food color dyed paper on the back. Here's our sketchbook again. On here I just attached some little tags with the jump ring. And there's collage on this side, and inside here I tucked a little bit of wax paper that I sewed shut with some pressed flowers. This is that Garden Flowers in Color book again. And then this is the other side of that really pretty scrapbook paper. And on this I made a little tuck. I just slide that out. It kind of goes over the side, but it's clipped at the top. Just a little booklet where I stitched on a really pretty vintage doily. This could actually be pockets if you wanted to put things in here. And then this is just some coffee dyed paper. Just made a little book so that you can journal in there. I can tuck that back in there easily without taking the clip off. There we go. All right. This is from another old book with some flowers. This is our last signature. And then this is another one of those printouts that I found online of an old herbarium sort of gardening sort of book. And that's stitched onto some scrapbook paper, made a pocket here. And I've got a couple things tucked in here. This is like a little folio with some pockets. 2 on this side, 2 on this side. I just tucked some little goodies in there. An old photo here, a little tag with a little heart on it. And then another little tag here, and an old copy of an old florist business card. And then also in this pocket, I made just a little fold-out journaling spot. This is from a rose book that I have that I just distressed a bit, and I just folded it like this. Put the green paper again, the painter's paper inside, and I did a little bit of sketching and a little bit of cutout of flowers there to make it cute. Okay. This is from an old wildflower guide, just black and white images. And then this is another image that I found online, a lady holding some Lily of the Valley, and I just did a little collage there. And then I had scrapbook paper with Lily of the Valley, so I put that next to it. On the other side, I've got another printed image that is made into a pocket, and I just have a printed out tag here with a little vintage rickrack through an eyelet, an old letter printout from an old book. Here's just a sheet of music paper, vintage. And then this is a scrapbook paper. Really, I thought this was really pretty with these pretty flowers on it. And this one folds this way. There are some pockets here. And again, I have just a little tag that I made. This is this is vintage. It's from an instructional, like an accounting instruction book. So it's a check, but it's not a real one. But it's cool. And then down here, little booklet that I made. I made a whole bunch of these. They're just like little scrapbooks. You can just do whatever you want with those. Use the paper, or you can write on the backs. And then this flips out again, and there's an old envelope here that I distressed with avocado dye, and I tucked a couple of tall tags in there. This one is made from really pretty, just like a memo pad that I have with flowers and a bee on the top. And I just added a little bit of collage there. And then this is just another tall collage tag that I made, and that one just has kind of real plain paper on the back. So both of those can be written on if you like. Here's an image from that Florilegium book again. This is a page that I pieced together with some vellum and scrapbook paper and coffee dyed paper, so you can kind of see through that middle section. Another printout that I found online of an old document. And then inside this signature, I've used the Henry Terry image again, so you get another one of these beauties. I just think these are so pretty. Okay, and then back through. So here's that old document. This is the some scrapbook paper that I coffee dyed, and I made these woven belly bands here. So there's just a couple of different tags tucked in there with some collage and some little tabs on them. I'm not going to pull those out. I guess I can. I'll show you how that is. It's got one of those cool staples on it. And then when you put these back in, you just weave it through. So in, out, in. And they stay put in there really good. And this is another one that I made myself, so it says Miller's Laboratory at the bottom. And the other one is just another one of those plant tags. Florilegium book again. This is scrapbook paper, just added a little fussy cut flower there. This is a little tuck I made with some faux postage with some flower images on it. And this is just a little booklet with some coffee dyed graph paper. I thought that turned out really cool when I coffee dyed it, so I wanted to give you a little bit of that. That's on the other half of the music page. This is the other half of the Lily of the Valley page, and I made a corner pocket on both sides with some flower cutouts. Just a little tag here that I printed out with some really pretty yellow flowers. A little trim at the top. And this is a vintage postcard, Language of Flowers postcard. Some of these have writing on the back. This one did, but somebody erased it. Here is our black and white wildflower bridge tally with some morning glories on it. This is also vintage. And then this is an image from that rose book I have, and that is a corner tuck, but it also opens up so that you can journal in there. And I liked the tassel hanging out the top. Here is that scrapbook paper again, and I've made a little clip here. I'll take it off so I can show you. This is from a coin holder, and this is actually a pressed flower inside there. A little bit of collage and a ribbon tied on. And then stick that back on there. I just tucked this little cigarette card with flowers on it in the other side. The other side has book page collage on it again, and then just that pretty Kate Greenaway image that I printed out of a girl with a garland of flowers. And then the last page is from that that book again. with some text and some flowers on it. In the very back of the book, I added a little bit of a pocket. It has a tag with just some pretty lavender flowers on it and grid on the back. This is a library card, but this is something that I made and printed out on my printer, and I printed it on regular paper so that I could actually make it into a folded card so that you can write inside there. And then hidden behind that, I have added my Miller's Laboratory label. So that is the end of the book. As I said, the other two books are very much the same. What would be different would be like the book pages. We're going to have different images on them. If you have questions about the other books, if you want to see anything in detail, I would be very happy to provide that for you. But I hope you liked seeing these books. I hope you'll visit my shop on Etsy, take a look at them, and I really put a lot of love into these books, so I hope that you like them. Thanks for visiting today. Bye-bye.